Let's not make it about Mahomes, And if everybody feels that it's just as like, oh, well, if we got Mahomes, we're good, they become a much stronger team moving forward 27, 28, things like that.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, in segment one, the great quarterback shakeup of 2026, we've got cap casualties and a whole bunch of trade demands. In segment two, we've got the great wide receiver exodus of 2026, and in segment three, will we actually have the Indiana Bears? We're going to talk about it. Joining us today, our teacher of the month every month, Mike Connors, and captain for life, Will Cotton. Gentlemen, we've got some quarterback situations, three in particular. You got the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes restructuring his contract, converting $54.45 billion into a signing bonus. You also have Anthony Richardson and the Colts headed to a divorce. We'll see what happens with that. And Kyler Murray, Arizona has until mid-March to trade him or release him. Will Cotton, out of all of the quarterbacks at this offseason, is there any quarterback in particular you're going to follow?
I'm not going to follow Anthony Richardson. I don't like that guy. So we have a history of that. So I'm going to follow Mahomes, man. I'm going to be very interested how the Chiefs are going to move forward with this. For me, it was an opportunity to just build young talent right now. Just get young guys, say, hey, we know we're not going to win this year. We're going to be competitive. Let's get some young people in here. Let's get some leadership in here. Let's not make it about Mahomes, And if everybody feels that it's just as like, oh, well, if we got Mahomes, we're good, they become a much stronger team moving forward 27, 28, things like that. I wouldn't even expect them to go, and everyone's saying, oh, they're going to go to Tyreek Hill. I wouldn't go to Tyreek Hill. Why? Bringing a bunch of young players with this terrible person to taint their sort of mentality of things, and he's in his 30s. Why would you do that? I would be very, very interested if we're seeing the first very coordinated, very well done tank job that the NFL is going to kind of look the other way because it's the Chief. They're going to look this way, say, "Oh, they're not tanking." But I think we're going to see a masterful tanking by them, and we'll see what happens in 27, 28.
All right, Connors, which quarterback situation this offseason kind of has your interest peaked?
None. No, but let's be honest. Mahomes is going to take a page out of Tom Brady's book. He's going to be willing to take less money or restructure for the betterment of the team. He's not going to make all of his bank over the next 10 years in the NFL anyway. We're talking endorsements. We're talking social media. This guy doesn't have to worry about ever making a penny from his NFL paycheck ever again. Anthony Richardson, why is he even still in the NFL? He's quit on his team. He's not very talented. Maybe he's an athlete, but that doesn't make him a quarterback. I got nothing positive to say there at all. Kyler Murray, I haven't seen him play enough to really give a definitive answer of if he can be a solid NFL quarterback or if he's an athlete that can be a backup like a T. Higgins type. He could still make the jump to Major League Baseball, probably also after a year or two in the minors. So he's got some options. But if I'm a team like the Jets that some people have mentioned as a potential landing spot for him, why would you take a chance there? He's done nothing to prove it. The Jets don't have a lot to go around him. I'm more interested to see where like a Kirk Cousins ends up. Michael Penix is going to be the quarterback in for the foreseeable future in Atlanta. Now he's coming off an injury, so they might get someone in there for short term, but Cousins can probably still play. If I was the Jets, I'd be knocking on their door every day saying, third rounder, third and a fifth rounder, third rounder, fifth rounder, bag of balls and a long snapper. How about that? So something along those lines. That's what I would be more interested in than a retread of Kyler Murray or that Anthony, I'm not even because the other guy who's the Colts are going to quit. I mean,
Oh.
at least Cousins has
Cousins is an enigma.
has won.
He's a
Cousins
real. I
has
don't
been a winner. And plus, he's the best businessman in the NFL, as we've talked about before. But he is the one, if I was the Jets or someone looking for a quarterback, that I would be knocking on the door of the Atlanta Falcons, saying, what do you want from my man Kirk?
We gotta get Kirk Cousins on the podcast somehow, some way. Retired or active, he got to get on the podcast.
Sean Salisbury follows us on social media, Odd Coaches, so maybe we can do something there. Okay, Connors, I'm coming to. We're back in the office, sitting around the round table, and I'm trying to sell you on teaching something. And it's February, fans. So what we used to do is we used to get the schedule in advance, and we try to sell people on teaching certain subjects. Let me try to sell you on Anthony Richardson.
No.
He's
No.
23. That's it.
No.
He came out early,
No.
had very little coaching at all, and as an instructor, you only do what you're allowed to do. 2, he has elite physical tools. He can throw the ball. 3, he's never had the structure and an old head to say, come here, son, and let me show you how to do this. So if you can get him on a cheat and you can pair him with a veteran in 2 years, maybe you have something. Talk to me, Connors, and let's close us out.
So he can quit or pull himself out of the game again when we need him most. That is what we call character. How many athletes are there that don't make it in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball? The world is full of great athletes.
Yes.
There's only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, and he ain't one of them.
All right, Cotton, did I sell you based upon the lack of structure, accountability measures, and high levels of help? What say you, sir?
Like my man Connor says, it's hard to quit on your team. It's one of the things that you just can't come back from. There's guys. I'm not gonna say they're not right now. I'll be 40 in November. There's guys who I don't like now who quit on me in high school. And that's a meaningful game. That's like a blip in that's like, it wasn't even like a championship game. It wasn't like it was a JV game, coach. A JV. And I still talk to my friends about that. And I'm still like, yo, you quit on me. We are not friends. We're not friends. So yeah, I'm with you. That's one thing you cannot change. And he would have to, I don't know what he has to do, but yeah, you can't sell that a lot of.
I tried.
Nope. No.
All right. So fans, it's segment 2. We will pivot to the wide receivers, and we can see if they will allow some reclamation projects from the wide receivers. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast in segment 2. We've got the great wide receiver exodus. So we have A.J. Brown, and he's getting on people's nerves in Philly. A lot of friction, a lot of on-field spats with Sirianni and the quarterback. So we've got him. We've got Tyreek Hill not understanding that membership has its privileges, and he's no longer a member of the club. And we have a legend in Mike Evans, who just might be a little overpriced in the marketplace. Cotton Man, I'm going to start with you again with this one. Any wide receiver situation you're paying extra attention to?
I'm looking at all of them, as a fantasy finisher, as a guy who plays fantasy, yeah, I'm watching what you guys doing. AJ Brown, he is who he is. You know, he did the same thing in the Titans with Vrabel. He ended the whole situation. Relationship was bad. Now he went to the Eagles. Got another bad relationship with Sirianni. Now he's gonna figure it out where he's going. Next spot is gonna be, but he still has some talent. You know, the guy is not over the hill. He's getting there, but he's not there yet. Tyreek Hill, I expect him to be in the wide receiver graveyard called the Titans, Tennessee Titans. If you're over 32, you play the receiver. You were used to be good. You ended up to the Tennessee Titans. It's all everybody is Andre Johnson, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, the list goes on. If you could look the history, see Mike Evans. I really hope the guy comes back healthy. I know he was supposed to have a healthy career last year. I think he broke his collarbone. He was on my fantasy team, so that really sucks too. And that really affected the whole team. And, you know, shout out to Baker for keeping the team going. But, you know, this is probably going to be the last year we're going to see Mike Evans. And it's just ironic because everyone thought Johnny Football was the one that's going to be the legend coming in here and do all this thing. And it's been Mike Evans for the last decade. And I will enjoy, you know, the last couple minutes, couple seasons of Mike Evans. Won't take him, won't draft him, but I'll enjoy root for him having the last year.
All right, Connors, any particular wide receiver situation catch your eye?
Yeah, I really like Mike Evans. I mean, like we said, he's had some injury. He blew that hamstring in week 3 against the Jets, never really recovered from it. You know, a guy like him who, yes, he's a speed and cut, a hamstring injury can be devastating. That leg could be, you know, everyone says, oh, I pulled a hamstring. No, you didn't. If you pull a hamstring, your leg basically is falling off in black and blue. You might have strained your hamstring, but if you really pulled it, you can't even walk on that leg. So the season ended tragically for him with that, but he still, I think, has something in the tag. Maybe not as a number 1 receiver, but someone who needs a veteran presence. I've never heard a bad word about him in the locker room. He seems to have been a stand-up kind of guy. So I'm sure someone like Baltimore who needs a number 2 or 3 receiver could use him for sure. At first, I was thinking Buffalo, but they don't really have a number 1 that I can think of off the top of my head. And I don't think you could thrust him into a number 1 position. I mean, you could, but I don't think that will be successful for him, especially if he has hamstring issues going into that cold climate. It could be bad as well. AJ Brown, you know, let's be honest, not getting along with Nick Sirianni is pretty easy because he's kind of an asshat. He's been through 5 offensive coordinators, I think, in the last 6 years or 5 years. Every time you see him on the sideline, he's acting like a horse's patoot. So if you don't get along with him, I might want you on my team. So I don't know. And Tyreek Hill, we've talked about him extensively. He's not a good person. He's had his run-ins off the field with the law. He physical alleged assaults on females and stuff like that. So I don't want him anywhere near my organization. And plus, he's getting up there in age now. He's had some injuries, and I don't care if he says. Well, he might. You never know. I don't know, but I would not want him within the area code that my franchise is. I would rather, no.
All right, so Codman, I'm gonna come to you, and we're gonna talk about AJ Brown because you are a team captain, and you have dealt with difficult personalities in the locker room. But here's the math that I'm going to give you, and I want your response to it. AJ Brown's 29. He's got a history of injuries, but it's a $43 million dead cap hit. And who's going to trade for him? Buffalo, New England. So if you're Philly, can you bring that guy back in with the offensive coordinator who's like young and this is his first gig? And it just seems interesting. How would you deal with that, knowing all of the other combustible parts in Philly right now?
I think about a lot of the things that he said that he was upset with were the basic offense that they had. So I understand if you're going to get rid of somebody and saying, look, if you're having this vanilla playbook, then all right. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't work with me. We need a more dynamic sort of offensive coordinator who can get the ball out in different places, make it more, make it easier for him to make his routes. With that said, they need to work. They need to win. With him, they need to win. And they need AJ Brown to win. You know what I'm saying? That team is full of a lot of good players. And when they won the Super Bowl, everybody was hitting and clicking and doing what they had to do. But when everyone started doing their own thing. Saquon wasn't doing the Saquon kind of thing, and AJ Brown was upset, and Devontae, he was not playing the same guy, up and down, up and down. Jalen Hurts, abysmal game sometimes. So let's not just say AJ Brown is the guy that was the reason they lost. I think what they need to do is realign to each other, become some friends again, remember why they went and why they won, so I think they'll be fine next year. They'll get another OC. He'll run the system. Hopefully it's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit, more fun for the guys. And I think I expect them to win the division again and be another contender in the Super Bowl.
All right, so Connors, I want to close this segment with you. So I'm going to Houston. CJ Stroud underperformed last year. I'll just say it that way. Would somebody like Mike Evans help him develop? And if you think so, then maybe Houston should try to do something to get a guy like that to help his quarterback. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Texans are a young team, so bringing in Mike Evans as a number 2 or 3 receiver to give, coming out of the slot, giving CJ Stroud a reliable guy who runs efficient routes, has good hands, and could be a mentor in the locker room to all those guys. Absolutely. I think that would be a great move. I mean, CJ Stroud's a third-year player. He's come a long way. I know he had a little bit of a down year this year, but, he's a player. We didn't think the Texans would be as good as they were this year. They kind of petered out in the postseason, but you can't just put that only on the quarterback. So I think getting a veteran presence like Mike Evans would be a wonderful thing for the Texans, both as a receiver and in the locker room, because they are a young team.
All right. So fans, when we get back in segment 3, there is a chance that the state of Indiana may have a football team. We'll talk about that on the other side when we get back on the iCoaches podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the iCoaches podcast. In segment 3, crossing state lines, are the Indiana Bears a reality? So the Indiana legislation, the Indiana House Ways and Means Committee passed an amendment 24-0, and the bill creates the Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority, granting it power to issue bonds and acquire land and finance a world-class dome stadium. The site, the proposed location, is in the Wolf Lake area in Hammond, Indiana, and that is strategically located on the Illinois-Indiana border. The site is approximately 20 minutes south of Soldier Field, which is physically closer to downtown Chicago than the team's property in suburban Arlington Heights. So let's look at the numbers. The Bears have committed $2 billion in private investment for the stadium. Indiana officials are reportedly looking at a framework for $1 billion in public and private support for infrastructure, including a Northwest Indiana professional sports development area. In Illinois, the Illinois House hearing on stadium incentives was canceled at the Bears' request. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, his office expressed surprise at the team's public praise for Indiana, calling it a sudden pivot after productive talks in Springfield, and we're not talking about the Simpsons. So look, Mike, the Giants and the Jets play in Jersey.
Yes.
Indiana has money in the hand. Here's the money.
$1 billion.
They are closer in proximity to the Bears than where the Bears are, and they're not blanking around. They're going to build you a dome stadium, and although I have not been to Soldier Field, I am told living in the past is a sign of getting old, and they would leave gladly if they could. What say you, sir?
Well, it comes down to economics. Let's be honest. When Giant Stadium, now MetLife Stadium, was first built, the reason they built there was it was a swamp and they got the land for nothing. Okay. Building in New York City is expensive. Land is limited. To put in a football stadium in a city is difficult, if not impossible, in the year 2025. What team is building a stadium within a city anymore? City limits, yes, but like downtown, no, you couldn't build on RFK in Washington, D.C., because the infrastructure is not big enough. If you're going to build where Soldier Field is, that's not in Chicago. There's no area around it, so you'd have to demolish that stadium and rebuild there, from what I've been reading. That's going to leave you 2, maybe 3 years without a home stadium. And if they play it somewhere like Northwestern, that's a small college stadium, maybe 40, 45,000 people. And again, it doesn't have the things that they need in NFL stadiums like luxury boxes. That's where they make their money. So if Indiana can step in and say, we have the property, we are physically closer to your headquarters, and we have $1 billion with a B dollars to give you to build a dome stadium. The Bears have already said they have $2 billion to put into the project. So a $3 billion dome stadium in Indiana, that's probably very doable. And it's right across the border from Chicago. It's not very far. I mean, MetLife Stadium, where the Giants play and the Jets play, is 5 miles from Manhattan. It's not hard to get to. There's not a lot of other things around it. So the traffic gets bad because it's Jersey and there's traffic in the New York City area. But that being said, imagine having to go into Manhattan or the Bronx with 85,000 people on a Sunday afternoon and get in, get out, have parking for all of them, or have them use mass transit. No one likes mass transit to go to a game. For football, you want to go early, you want to tailgate, you're going to have a little bit of a party in the parking lot or whatever. So there's a lot that goes into it. So the state of Illinois is in a little bit of trouble here if they're hoping to keep that Bears team within their borders.
All right, Cott, you're my one. You spent a lot of time in New York, so you know exactly what Connors is talking about. And 2, you understand negotiation. What do you think? When I put that on your desk, as I like to tell Robert, what did you think, Cotton, man?
As a consumer, well, as a businessman, I look at it and say, hey, I have an opportunity to really expand my stadium, put the amenities in it that people are going to really bring their families, want to come and, enjoy. It's very hard to bring a young child to Soldier Field, especially in like December and January. You're bringing your girlfriend. No disrespect to women who love the game, but I know it'd be difficult to bring to -3 to my wife to come watch a football game, and she's not interested. She has some sort of other luxuries that she support. So I think those are things that you need to create, especially with the amount of the ticket prices that we're paying. Number 2, I think like Connor said, I mean, Dallas, their stadiums in Arlington. DC, they're trying to, the last 25 years have been in Maryland. Nobody plays where they're supposed to play anymore. It's just impossible with the infrastructure that we have to put these stadiums in these metropolises. It's almost detrimental to the infrastructure. You know how many highways would you have to cut off, or roads would cut off and reroute stuff, and they stop working, electricity, rerouting and resources. It was
the Raiders moved to Las Vegas to get a new stadium. That stayed in Oakland.
3 times. They went from Oakland, they went to LA,
LA, back
then
to
they went back to Oakland, and they were like, "Look, why we come back to Oakland? Let's go back up to Vegas."
California's a debacle. Come on.
Yeah,
Uh,
the Niners.
so-
I don't even think the Niners. They don't
They
play.
play at Santa Clara.
Yeah, and plus, I'm sure these smaller towns have a lot of incentives, sort of like taxes. Like how like in New York, you're paying state and city taxes on a lot of things. So I know if I can move
10.9% in if you
Oh,
work
yeah.
in New York City, 10.9%
Oh,
between
yeah.
city and state tax.
Oh yeah, I'm moving my stadium because also I moved those stadiums that and then remove that city tax because now I can bring in people who want to work. My concession, hey, I don't have to pay them more because they're not getting taxed as much because they're not in the city anymore. So I like it, man. Right now, people are complaining, nostalgia. I get it, I get it. But
Perfect
all you need,
segue with that.
coach, all you gotta do is win. Keep winning. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
The Bear Stadium could be Orlando, Florida. They're winning. They gonna show up.
Well, Mike Will brought up what I wanted to bring up, and you are a historian. We lose something every day. AI has caused us to lose the cashier that knew our story and saw our kids grow up. We just lose a little personal touch. And the Bears are the Bears. Ditka and the frozen tundra in Green Bay and all of that. A dome stadium's going to lose that, and don't we care about
You know
that?
what a dome stadium is going to make? Billions of dollars. And I'm not kidding. They're going to be able to charge astronomical amounts for those tickets. They're going to be able to host events 365 days a year if they want to. The only thing that makes me even madder is the New York, New Jersey sports teams were too bleeping stupid to not build a dome stadium when they built the new Giant Stadium. The Bears are doing the right thing if they move to this dome stadium. You know what nostalgia gets yet? Nothing. Good memories. The Yankees closed Yankee Stadium and moved across the street and won the World Series the first year. And you know what they said? We brought the ghosts with us. Okay, great. You won a World Series. That's you want to cure all evils? Win. That's all people care about. They don't care about the building. They don't care if you play on turf or natural grass or this or that, the other thing. Win. Just win. And the Bears are on the right path. Love their coach. I mean, historically, they're a great organization. But you know what? A dome is not going to make or break the Bears' mystique.
But you know what else would be cool? Now with all this like advancement of technology. I mean, imagine if now you can have stadiums and you can say, oh, okay, well, now we want to simulate snow. Now we want to simulate the winds. We want to control imagine
A video game? Am I playing KJ and Madden?
Coach, I'm telling you, if we're talking about advantages, there's going to have to be a policy that says this.
Well,
if we're told it could be this to this,
Retractable dome. They're out there.
retractable. But see, retractable is expensive, number one. 2, also unpredictable.
There are
The only way that you could do it, and for everyone to enjoy the same amount, I think a simulation would be the only way that you could put that some sort of that frozen tundra in the, what I'm saying, or Soldier Field. Like
there are soccer stadiums or football stadiums, if you want to call them that, in Europe that have retractable, they're like canvas plastic roofs that can open or close. That way you could have the elements if you want them. You have the temperatures. It's not a hard dome. It's a retractable fabric roof. They have them all over the place in Europe for soccer stadiums. You could do something like that. There are options out there.
oh yeah, for sure. Hey, billionaires, don't be no pinching no pennies. Go ahead, buy the best.
Yeah. It's
Buy
the taxpayer. It's
Whatever
the
the
taxpayer,
solution is, buy the best. We're just guys talking.
I know, and everybody makes sense, but I just can't see it with the Bears. Soldier Field still has a lease that goes through 2033, and $500 million is still owed on the 2003 renovations.
It's
The
going to
city
take
of Chicago.
It's going to take at least 5 years to build the stadium, at least, because they haven't done anything groundbreaking,
funny.
infrastructure, building highways, so they can ride that out.
Ah.
I think I did. That's funny. That's
All
funny.
right. So, on behalf of our Cavalcade stars, this was good. I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network. Follow us on the X platform at Odd Coaches. For more information about the CKA Save Project or supporting our work, please visit us on the web at cksaveproject.org, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.cksaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.